Hey everyone, Kelly Dean Allen here once again, and welcome to my musical guilty pleasure and fellow Canadian Shania Twain. Maybe you've heard of her. Was listening to this track in the car the other day, as it's the rare artist that both my wife and I can generally agree upon listening to together when we're out driving. And I thought to myself, this really is a fantastic guitar-driven track, pretty much start to finish. And it's also got a short and cool little guitar solo in it, so I must sit down and learn this when I get home, maybe impress my wife. Once I did get it under my belt, I figured that I'd throw together a tutorial and show some of you guys how to play it as well, if you or anyone else out there might be interested in learning this massive Shania Twain crossover hit. That said, I know that it's very much outside the scope of what I usually cover here on my channel, but let's mix things up a bit today, yeah? Let's get started. All right then, Man, I Feel Like a Woman and Shania Twain. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial, and we have a capo on the first fret, as this track is pitched up a half step from standard. So as we're going along here and I'm showing you these chords and calling them what I'm going to call them, like an A power chord here and G and D and E major, know that they're all sharp, right? That's an A sharp power chord, that's a G sharp, that's a D sharp, that's an E sharp major. I'm going to call them what I'm going to call them in relation to where the capo is, right? So that's going to be an A power chord even though we're on the third fret, not the second fret. So then, this track starts like this. Simple, famous, third fret of the G string. We're going to hit that 3 times. And then we're going to go 5 off to 3 of the D, back down to the 3 of the G for a double hit. I'm going to choke that off. She's going to say, "Let's go, girls." And then we drop into the main riff. Just a lot of A power chords going on here, a lot of them on the upstroke. And it's all very slappy. You're kind of slapping your right hand back on the strings to choke some of these off, right? Very staccato as you're hitting these A power chords. So we're going to strike this A power chord about 8 times, almost all on the upstroke. With that kind of rhythm, right? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. And after you strike that about 8 times, we're going to drop onto the 4th fret of the low E, give it a little downwards tug, and drop right back into those A power chords again. And after you repeat that 3 times, the vocals have already come in at this point. We drop into this. And then we drop back into those A power chords again, right? So we're going to strike this A power chord, then we're going to drop onto the 4 of the A, little downwards tug, and then drop into a D power chord. Right? Open D, 3rd fret of the G. And then we're just going to reverse that. Right back off to the A power chord, right? And before going back into those repeating A power chords, you're going to hit an A power chord, grab that 4 of the low E, and then back to those repeating A power chords. And then we repeat that again. And then we're going to drop back into the opening melody line as a little break in the first verse, right? And then we drop back into the repeating A power chords for the second half of the first verse. Kick started with a quick A for A. And then we're into the pre-chorus. We're going to drop into G for 2 bars. And then we're going to go down to A for 2 bars. And then we're into the chorus. So the chorus, there is tremolo on the guitars for the chorus. And we're going to drop into E major for 5 bars. And then we're going to move into D minor. And then we're going to move back off to A. So kind of like this, 5 bars of E major, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more bar, then into D minor, then back off to A, and then back into E major for 5 more bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to D minor, back to A, and at the end of the chorus we're going to drop into this F sharp minor, which is actually G sharp minor or G minor because of the capo, right? But we're going to call it F sharp minor. Just strum down the strings, let it ring, choke it off. She says, "Man, I feel like a woman." We drop back into the melody line again. And then we're leading into the second verse, right? So that's the chorus. 5 bars of E major. Right, and after 5 bars of that, we move into the D minor, back to the A, and then back to E major for 5 more bars. And after 5 more bars of that, we go back into the D minor, back to the A, and finish in this F sharp minor, right? Full bar. Choke it off, "Man, I feel like a woman," and then melody line. And then we drop right back into those A power chords again. There's a little variation here leading into the second verse. Goes something like this. Right, you're going to strike that about 8 times after the melody line. And then we're going to do this. Before going back into those repeating A's, right? So grabbing that 4 like we did earlier, grab that 4 of the A down to the D, but we're going to hang on this D power chord for about 4 pick strikes. And then you reverse it back to the A's, and then we're into the second verse, right? So coming out of the melody line, A, ba, 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 da, ba. And then you reverse, second verse. Pre-chorus, down to A, and then we're into the second chorus, E major, 5 bars. Into D minor, back to A, back to E major, 5 more bars. Back to D minor, back to A, into the F sharp minor. "Man, I feel like a woman." And then we drop into the solo. So the solo goes something like this. Let's run through this at a fairly relaxed pace. So that's pretty much the solo right there. So it starts easily enough. A couple of little slides, right? At about the 10th fret of the high E, slide it up to about the 18th fret and let go, right? Do the same thing on the B string. Then drop onto the 14th fret of the B, full step bend release, and then pick it when you release it back to the natural note. And then we're into this. Just sliding into this little double stop here, 15 of the G, 14 of the B, little back and forth 3 times. Just letting those notes ring together. And then we're into this. So hammering on 6 to 8 of the A, down to 6 of the D, back to 8 of the A. Then you're going to roll down to the 8 of the D and back up to the 8 of the A. And then you're going to drop quickly onto this double stop here on the 6s of the G and the B. Give it a little downwards tug and choke it off. Kind of like that. And then we're into this. Just hammering on 6 to 8 of the A, 6 to 8 of the D, down to 6 of the G, and then back to the 8 of the D. Then you're going to roll down to the 8 of the B, and then back to the 6 of the G, and then finish on the 8 of the D. Right, when you go on that 6, little downwards tug. from the top. And then we're into this. So we're sliding into this little D shape here at the 8th fret position. And then again, we're going to do a little back and forth about 3 times from the G to the high E. Then you're going to drop onto the 9 of the high E, give it a quick pick, and then release it back off to the chord. And we're going to slide that whole thing up to the 15th fret position, do another little back and forth 3 times. But it finishes a little bit differently. We're going to drop onto the 16 of the high E, release it off to 15, and then just catch that little double stop there on the B and the G string, right? And then we finish the solo with this. So we're going to hammer on 16 to 18 of the high E and pick it 3 times. Right, you're going to repeat that twice. Then you're going to hammer on 16 to 18 one more time, pick it once, move it up to the B string and do the same thing. Right? And then we drop into this to finish the solo. Quick little mute. And then you're going to grab this little double stop here, 14 of the B, 13 of the high E, catch it on the upstroke, right? And then drop onto the 15 of the G, roll it up to the 15 of the D, and then finish the solo here on the 13 of the G string, right? And that's the solo. So from the top. Right, and when we land on that note right there, the pre-chorus is already started. G, right, 2 bars of G, down to A for 2 bars, right, leading into the chorus, and then we just drop into the final chorus, 5 bars of E major, right. After you play that for 5 bars, you move into that D minor, back to A, back to E major for 5 more bars, back to D minor, back to A, and then we drop into one final F sharp minor full chord, which is actually G. Let it ring, choke it off. Man, I feel like a woman. And then we drop into the outro, which is back to the melody line again. And then we drop into 1 bar of those 8 power chords. Then we're going to repeat the melody line and drop into G for 1 bar. And then you kind of get that looping and repeat it 3 or 4 times, right? Right at the end, a couple of A power chords, and that's the end of the track. And that is how you play Man, I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain. Certainly hope you enjoyed the tutorial, found it helpful, and if you did, please hit that like button right down there. Maybe drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already, as that would be very kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you these days, and we will see you next time. Cheers.